Hi there, how are you doing? Welcome to today's podcast. I'm super duper excited for you to be here. Okay, so today I want to talk to you about strategic leadership. Strategic leadership. Now, think about this. I want you to really consider this. You may say, oh, this is not a leadership podcast. But the truth is, this one of the reasons why we're leveling up your mindset is to make you leaders in your fields, to make you highly sought after in your fields as people that will really stand out and people that will really give the best at all times when presented with opportunities. Now, back to today's conversation, strategic leadership. What is strategic leadership and how do you become a strategic leader? What are some pros and cons of strategic leadership? And then we are also going to look at some principles of strategic leadership. So let's begin with what is strategic leadership. Strategic leadership is a practice in which leaders using different styles of um, management develop a vision for their organization that enables it to run. All right, so basically the ability to influence others to voluntarily make decisions that enhance the prospects of the organization's long-term success while maintaining short-term results. So in thinking of strategy, you think of the future while living in the present. And so that's one thing that strategic leaders invest in, and that's one thing that they do intentionally. So to become a strategic leaders, a strategic leader, pardon me, there are three things that you have to do. Number one is strategic thinking. In strategic thinking, which we talked about in the last podcast, you're able to grasp the complexity, the ambiguity, and the interplay of internal and external environments. And then number two is strategic acting. So you have to be able to align structure, people, systems, decisions with enterprise strategy. And then number three is strategic influencing, where you build coalitions, you motivate, and you lead by example to achieve what we call the goals that you've set in that moment as a leader. And it is very, very important that all these three factors, all these three components are in place if you're about to become the strategic leader that you want to be. Now, I'm going to go through it one more time in case you did not pay attention. Number one, strategic thinking. Number two, strategic acting. And number three, strategic influencing. So, a combination of thinking, acting, influencing. So, you're not just thinking, but you're stepping out to make a move, you're putting things in place, and then you're influencing the general outcome by the kind of leader that you are. What are some principles of strategic leadership? Number one, distribute responsibility. You must learn delegation. If you want to be a strategic leader and succeed in the enterprise that you're building, then you must distribute responsibility. You cannot just keep everything to yourself. You cannot just say, I'll handle it, I'll handle it. Many of us try to monopolize roles and monopolize responsibilities because we don't want to share, we don't want everybody to be in our business, quote and unquote. But in this case, you must learn to trust the people that you're leading and take steps in the right direction. Number two, be honest and open about information. Don't hide things from people. If you want them to give you their best, then you must put all the cards on the table. No hiding things, no trying to look a certain way, live a certain way, or portray a certain possibility. No, you have to be intentional about being honest and open with information. And then number three, create multiple paths for raising and testing ideas. Create multiple paths. Don't just have one way. Don't just have one particular option. Don't just build it in one particular way. Create multiple parts. Give yourself options. Plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, so that if one plan does not work out, you have something else to try, and you do not feel handicapped in what you're trying to build, in who you're trying to become. You do not feel handicapped in your journey, especially as a leader. Number four, make it safe to fail. When people find that they are safe in a place and they can fail without being belittled or without being frustrated, then you have to realize that in these places, that you have to that as a leader, right? Please run with me. As a leader in these spaces, you are now ready to allow people that opportunity to try without destroying themselves. Make your environment conducive for people to experiment without having detrimental consequences to their self. And number five, give them access to resource persons and other strategists. Don't just be the only person that they talk to. Your picture is limited, your possibilities are limited, so you need to expose yourself to more, to enable you help them, to enable you build them, to enable you empower them to be all that they need to be. When people feel empowered and they know that all they need is available to them, then they will definitely know that it's worth it to give you their all and to invest their all in what you seek to achieve. Number six, develop opportunities for experience based learning. This is internship and giving them access not just to those people, but to those people's resources. You've got to give people that level of access. You've got to allow people to be able to learn and then now begin to live the life that they want to live, not because, all right, not because of their fears, not because of your fears, but give them an opportunity to learn, make their mistakes, and grow in a safe, conducive environment. Number seven, bring your whole self every time. As a leader, you need to be whole. You need to intentionally pursue wholeness as a leader. And one of the ways that you can do that in your leadership is to be able to look at these people that you're leading, look at these people that you are empowering in your own little way and in your own little shape. And then don't just end there. You be whole for them, you be complete for them, you be intentional about giving them that life that they desire, that they want. Be intentional about it. Be very, very intentional about it. All right. And then number nine, find time to retrospect. Pay attention to reflection. Find time to retrospect in the sense that have time where you are retrospecting. Have time where that you are thinking about you are building, you are just pay attention. Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention to retrospectively building. Pay attention to being intentional to your growth, to your becoming. Pay attention to living from inside out. You've got to know how to live from inside out. It's an intentional thing to do. Number nine, hire for transformation. Pay attention to who you're hiring. Everybody cannot work for you. Everybody cannot work with you. Everybody cannot work around you. You must have standards. You must have be intentional about the standards that you are building. Be intentional about the standards that you are trying to become. Be intentional, be intentional, be intentional. You've got to really, really be intentional. You really, really need to understand this. You really, really need to intentionally realize that you can build, you can actually become a whole lot by the people that you surround yourself with. Remember that you're not hiring for what you need, you're hiring for what you're lacking. So when it comes time to hire, when it comes time to look for volunteers, seek for skills that you're lacking for people that you're lacking. And then number 10, recognize leadership development as an ongoing practice. Pay attention to constantly grow. Pay attention, give that effort to constant growth. Like I said at the beginning of the year, I think it was March, April, about the personal development plan. Invest in it. Understand that you're consistently growing, you're consistently transforming, you're consistently becoming, you're consistently striving, and you're consistently arriving at goals that need to arrive. So, what are some skills that a strategic leader should have? What are some skills that a strategic leader should have? Number one is strategic thinking. You need to be able to think strategically as a leader. Number two, all right, you need to now communicate, have excellent communication skills. Have excellent communication skills. It is very important that you're communicating. It's very important that you're building. It's very important. It is very, very important. All right. So you need to know this. You need to understand communication. You need to understand how to communicate effectively in different rooms, different categories, and different structural places. And then number three, strategic planning. It is very, very important to be a strategic planner. Plan strategically, build strategically, have a strategic plan. It is very important. And then if you don't understand strategic planning, invest in coaching that will expose you to strategic planning so that you don't just answer the question of what and why, you begin to answer questions about how and what next. Number four, measuring objectives and key results. You don't just strategize based on fantasies, you must research. You must research. You must research. Pay attention to research. Pay attention to research. It is extremely important that you pay attention to research. Number five is strategic agility. Strategic agility refers to your ability to quickly and appropriately respond to or drive change while maintaining flexibility or focus. It is a very complicated thing, and it requires a significant amount of work, a significant amount of effort, a significant amount of agility to be able to continue. And an example or strategic ability would be when Coca-Cola company developed healthier beverage alternatives for health conscious customers. So they realized that okay, we have customers that may not necessarily want Coke the way that we do it. And so we're going to give people an opportunity to still enjoy our beverages without stifling them, but giving them the same value that for our brand, right? That strategic agility, thinking quickly to while being able to change yet remain flexible and focused to your vision. Very important to have. Number six, awareness. Awareness is you need to be self-aware, you need to be environmentally aware, and you need to be people aware. So first, be aware of yourself. What are your limits? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the opportunities that surround you? And then secondly, be environmentally aware. what's in your environment that will empower the outcome that you're trying to achieve. And then number 7 is trust and reliability. You must be able to be trusted as a strategic leader. The people that you're leading must be able to trust you. They must be able to see you as someone that they can partner with, they can invest in, and they can build with. Very important. Trust and reliability. Number 8, execution. Don't just speak, be able to put your hands to the plow and get to work. As a leader, you've got to get to work, you've got to build intentionally, you've got to realize that what you're seeking for, right, needs to go through a particular path, and then be able to know your benchmarks and be able to pay attention to the things that you are achieving on the journey. Number 9, integrity. It is very, very important that as a strategic leader, you are a person of great integrity. People will be able to trust you better when they know that you have integrity. And number 10, have excellent managerial skills. Be an excellent manager. You've got to be able to appropriately manage as someone who is a strategic leader. Let's go through all 10 again one more time, shall we? Number 1, strategic leadership. Number 2, your communication skills. Number 3, strategic planning. Number 4, measuring objectives and key results. Number 5, strategic agility. Number 6, awareness. Number 7, trust and reliability. Number 8, execution. Number 9, integrity. And then number 10, management. If you put all of this together, you would be an excellent strategic leader. Now, you have to realize that you may not have all of these at once, but now it's up to you as a self aware leader to sit down and to evaluate, how am I in strategic thinking? How am I with my communication? How am I with strategic planning? How am I with my OKRs, objectives and key results? How am I with my agility? When you rate yourself, you know your strengths, your weaknesses, your in betweeners, and then you now know where to invest your time, your resources, and your possibilities into, because realize that leadership is not just about convenience, but about actually putting in the work towards growth. Putting in the work towards growth. And this is very, very important. Very, very important. It's not something that should be taken for granted. It's not something that should be taken casually. This is something that you build intentionally. When we think about strategy and strategic leadership, we've got to consider some things. Consider things like um growth. Am I growing? Right? Consider things like teamwork and being able to work with other people and create an environment of safety for the other people that you're working with. And then number 3, things like vision. Vision is so important when building strategy. Number 4 is research. You must be able to know how to research while thinking ahead and while building possibilities around what you're trying to become and the outcome that you are trying to see as well. All right. And then there is innovation. Innovation is a major part of strategic leadership, because now you're thinking outside the box, you're seeing differently, you're building differently, and you're embracing new possibilities. All right. Now, if you now want to consider a whole organization and a collective value system that will help you to become or see the kind of results that you want to see, you have to realize that strategy is only one part of it. Strategy is only one part of it, because it focus and it is very, very important that it is not an overlooked part. There is different parts of it, but you've got to realize that strategy is not something that you can afford to overlook. Strategy is not something that you can afford to um minimize or just belittle generally. Strategy is something that you must be very, very intentional about Strategy is something that you must intentionally invest in as a leader. There are other skills, but you see, strategy, that's something that every leader must really, really work on. Every leader must really pay attention to it. So, with these few points of mine, I want you to begin to pay attention to what you're building, to who you're becoming. Remember, your leveled up outcome looks at every single part of your life, right? You're not just being um passive, you're not just being passive corrective, you're not being transactional, you're being active, you're being transformational, and you're being authentic as a strategic leader. And this is something that you have to invest in over time. So I hope this will help you in your leadership. I hope this will help you in becoming someone that is worth thinking about, worth building with, and really worth looking forward to a future with. This is not something that we do casually or carelessly. This is something that must be done with precision and a lot of detail. So it must time and attention must be given intensely to it. So what kind of leader do you want to be with your mindset? What kind of leader are you building yourself towards becoming? I love you and I look forward to seeing you next time on this podcast. Bye for now.